Okay, today what we're going to be doing is giving you a full overview of DTools SI 2015. So if anyone's this new to DTools, what we do is we're designed specifically for the low voltage industry, and we help by bringing together three parts of the business. We bring together estimating and proposals. We also tie together system design and drawings, which we work with AutoCAD and Visio for that. And we also can bring together the scheduling and project management side of the business as well. So by doing that, there's definitely a lot of efficiencies to be gained throughout your process. And our average customer saves a little over 50% of their time from start to finish on a project by using the DTools system. So let's go ahead and dive in and show you what DTools software is all about. So we'll go up here to the Start tab. So the page that we're on right now is the home page. So we do kind of start you off with a little bit of information about the system. You can access help videos, contact our support team, also learn about some new updates and features that are coming out as well too. The Start tab here at the top left, this is how you navigate through the software. Now we have a couple things that we don't really get into too much detail on usually in the overview, which is the Setup tab. This is where you put in your company name, your logo, your labor rates, all pretty straightforward items, so that would go here in the Setup area. We also do have a Clients and Contacts area within the software as well too. And we do allow you to bring in any existing customers or contacts that you may have. We can import from Excel or CSV, from Outlook, as well as from QuickBooks as well. So those are your options there for import. And of course, you can create new ones as well too as you work on projects throughout the system. Now, at the heart of the DTools system is a database. That's where all your products and pricing is going to be stored, and we call that the catalog. So we're going to spend a few minutes here kind of talking about how our database works and how you get products and pricing into our system. Now, one of the things that we've done to make the process a lot easier for getting set up is we've got a huge library of products that you can download from inside the system. So we'll go here to download products, and we'll show you that. So this is definitely a huge head start on getting your database and system set up. You'll see here we've got a list of manufacturers on the left-hand side. We've got over 1,700 manufacturers in all available for download. Now, some of the manufacturers you'll see in the list have a green icon. Those are manufacturers that are DTools partners. So they're actually putting their data into our software and helping us keep those product lines up to date. So that data is included for free with the software, and you get free updates on it as well too as a part of that package. Now, we wish every manufacturer was constantly updating us and keeping us up to date on all their latest and greatest products, but the reality is they don't. So we do have a lot of other brands that are not participating in the library. Those are the ones you'll see here in red. About 1,500 of those brands are available through our optional data subscription service. So we do provide an optional service for the brands that are not contributing, and we're constantly updating and adding products to that library. On average, it's a few thousand to 5,000 a week that may be added to the library as a part of that. Now, to kind of show you how this works, let's go here to a manufacturer. We'll pick on Crestron as an example here. So we'll pull this up. So when you go to a particular manufacturer, we show you any recent products that have been added or updated. Go and do Crestron North America here. So this will bring up a download list. Now, at first glance, you're going to see everything available. There's over 2,700 products available for download. You can also go down here to your categories, and you can also even expand that to go even further into subcategories and find your parts. Now, if you want to, you can certainly go in and download everything from that manufacturer, or you can be specific and just download the particular parts that you work with. Keep in mind that once you've downloaded items, they are in your database. That is your property. Your pricing can be entered in for that. And of course, if you need any additional items later on, you can always come back to this area and download them as needed. So pretty easy to download a product. Just simply click on the item, downloads it, and puts it into your catalog. Now, once it's downloaded, we'll go over to the catalog. Let me just show you what an item looks like inside of the database. So let's go up here to Start, Catalog, and let's go up here to Products. So in the database, you're going to see all of your products that you've downloaded, and you can also, too, create your own products as well. So definitely not reliant on just us to get items in. You can certainly do that on your own as well. Let's go pull up a part here, and we'll take a look at what kind of details we're tracking in here. Now, when I take a look at an item here, you'll see we've got manufacturer, model number, category, links to the product on the manufacturer site, as well as an image. So we do track images on products for a few different things, which we'll see. We can put a little picture of the product next to it on the quote, as well as we can also utilize that on some of the drawing pages that we do. descriptions. Those are also stored in here as well, so you can show next to the product a brief or elaborate or long description on the quote when you present that to the customer. Now these can be edited to your preferences. If you want to change some of these items here, you can. It does have spell check built in as well. Your pricing tab is going to be where all the pricing information is stored. Now, when you download products from our DTools library, the only price that we'll ever have in there is going to be MSRP. Now, some manufacturers don't always provide that, so we can't say it'll always be there, but that's something that we do try to put in there if the manufacturer wants it to be public. Now, with this, there is the cost and sell price are these two fields you see here. You've got cost and unit price, which is our sales price. That will always be 0 when you download it from us, so you'll need to put in what you pay for it and what you want to sell it for. Now, we do have some tools in place to help get that set up a lot easier. Doesn't mean you have to go through and put in your cost and sell price one at a time. We do have a utility where you can import price sheets in if they're in Excel format, as well as we have a tool called Price Rules, which allows you to create formulas for particular brands. Where you could say, okay, for this brand, my cost is 30% off of list, as an example. So some tools in there to kind of get a whole line of equipment set up pretty quickly. Now, when it comes to pricing, you may be working with different types of customers or different groups, like residential versus commercial or government. So you can store different options in here for price types, which are preset cost or preset sell prices, and you can actually name those here whatever you like. Now, part of pricing is not just the equipment. So obviously we're selling labor with our systems as well. And so what we do with labor is we automatically build in a labor time as well as an install phase as well. So these phases here, you can customize those in the setup tab, but everything you download from our library, we already have an install phase already pre-assigned to it for your convenience, as well as we put an industry average install time. So what happens here is we take your labor rate, we multiply it by the number of hours here, and this comes up with a total install price. So there's all the math going on in the background, equipment, labor, and tax. So all you have to worry about is dragging and dropping the equipment into a quote or drawing, and we do the rest of the calculations for you. So that's your pricing component. Now, for anyone out there using QuickBooks accounting systems, we do interface with that directly. So this is the accounting tab for that. You can see what items you're linked to on the accounting side, as well as you can set preferred vendors as well. Now, we also are a true drawing or engineering tool, and we work with AutoCAD and Visio for that. Now, some of the reasons we track this data here, like specifications, this is used for things like rack drawings. So if you ever, put together a rack and something didn't fit properly or didn't have enough space, that's obviously a good reason to have a good rack drawing beforehand. Spending a few minutes planning ahead of time can sometimes save a lot of headache later on. And with specifications here, this allows you to drag and drop and build a quick AutoCAD rack drawing or a Visio rack layout as well too. We do track the IOs on products, which is the inputs and outputs. This is used for doing wiring diagrams. So once again, a few minutes of planning sometimes can save hours of headache later on. So with our system, you can drag and drop. You can actually show how the system is going to be wired up, connect your cables up to the IOs. And what's really nice about this, it does do some automated reporting off of that. You're going to get a detailed wire checklist or wire schedule for the install team, as well as wire labels as well too are created automatically. We do give you the ability to add some custom fields on your products. You could get up to 14 of those, and those can easily be changed here in the settings. Now, another nice little feature on our product is the ability to add accessories. So if you've ever forgotten to put a product on a quote and had to eat the cost on it, this is the feature for you. This is where you can put in the additional items in here like power supplies, mounts, cables, brackets. You can pre-build those in there. So as we're building our project, we're always getting those reminders or prompts of other products that we typically need to sell with this item so we don't forget them. For items that are always required, you can even set this up to automatically add the accessories without even asking. And of course, it's also another big time saver because you're not having to go flip through a catalog or look through a website trying to figure out what other parts work with this as an accessory. So you can set those up, and those can be mass updated or mass set up in the database. So for instance, if you want to go in and highlight a couple hundred TVs in your database, you could apply your preferred wall mounts to all of those at one time. And we also have a new feature here we've added in the last few weeks called Alternate. So this allows you to assign any additional parts or pieces that you may typically suggest to a customer as an alternative. This could be an upgrade or a downgrade as an option. So for instance, just using TV as an example, maybe the project has a 60-inch TV or display in it. you can show them what it would cost to move up to a 70-inch. It would say, you know, plus 500 or subtract $300, whatever it is you want it to say. We can show those alternate items up or down in price throughout the proposal as well. So that's an option there too. And some of the other stuff like, you know, additional images and shapes and blocks, those are all in there. And we also publish stuff out to the web as well, like cut sheets and brochures and user guides out there. So that's pretty much a little run through there of an individual product. So as you can see, we track a lot of information, but this is what helps drive the system and make everything happen. Now, one other nice little feature about the database is you can also create what are called packages. So packages are basically pre-built systems or solutions. So I think everyone to some degree has solutions that they prefer to sell to the customer, and you probably find yourself selling them to the customer somewhat frequently. So instead of having to recreate the wheel every single time, building the same things over and over again, might as well create a package, set it up once, and you can drag and drop the whole complete solution into a project over and over again. As an example here, we'll pull up a package. So this package has a name, a folder. You can also have a description on it, as well as a picture. In the background, all the parts that make up that package or kit are in here. So like once again, I said just basically build it once, and then you can now drag and drop it into a quote or drawing as needed. So that's just a little bit on the database side of things. So I know we spent a few minutes on that, but it's good to kind of know what's going on here in the background and kind of helps explain how we automate so much throughout the system. So let's go ahead and let's dive in. Let's go build a project and show you how this all works. So let's go back up here to our home page. So now that we've seen the database, let's go create a new project here. So we'll start off on the front page here and do that. So getting started with a project, we have a thing called the New Project Wizard. It's a little step-by-step walkthrough just to make sure you don't miss anything when creating a project. And all this information that we put in here actually helps populate all of the reports throughout the system. So first thing we have to have, though, we need to put in a client name. So we're going to choose one here and choose one from the list. Now, you can also pull from other databases like Outlook or QuickBooks if you're a user of that, as well as you can create a new one on the fly. So we'll come in here and we'll call this March. Now, you can also come in here and set some other things such as your price type. So you can choose which level of pricing you want for that job. You can also set what the status of the project is. And then what we'll do is move on here to our next step. Now we have our site address. We have our billing address for the project. We also have a thing called price rules. So this actually allows you to set up a price rule for this particular project. So an example of what that might look like is maybe you want to go in here and say, okay, everything that I sell on this project is going to be my cost plus 20%. So that'll ignore your default pricing in the database and allow you to go with a custom price here based off of a formula. So it's a neat little feature there that's available if you want to use it. And this can be stored and used later if you like. We also have a place for setting up your tax rate. So you can choose your tax rate options here and move on there. You also have project resources. So if there's anybody else within your company that you want to assign to the project, you can go ahead and do that here. And once again, you can change this later as well. We also have a place here for additional contacts. Now, you may be working with someone like an architect, general contractor, electrician on a project. So instead of having to go fumble and find their information on that particular job, put it in here once. Everyone can access it. You can even print it off on things like cover pages of drawings as well too, if you like. We also have a place here for scope of work. So if you want to do a written description of what's included or not included with the project, obviously a great idea to do that. Sometimes those can be somewhat tedious and time consuming, a lot of copy and paste for that. So what we do to speed this part of it up is we allow you to utilize a database of what we call snippets. So you can come in here and say, all right, we're doing some security, speaker, some matrix system, and voice video data. This basically comes up here and builds up our scope of work. We can also go in and edit this if we want to. These are very easy to save and use for future projects as well. Now, you've also got the ability to add locations. So locations play a pretty big role in the system throughout. You can break down your equipment room by room for you and the customer on the quote. We also can break down your equipment list, organize your parts for drawings. Things like wire labels and even wire checklists can become pretty handy for this as well. So we'll kind of see how that plays out. We're going to put in a few locations here to play with. Now, our system works great for any type of project, anything low voltage. It could be audio, video, control systems, security, even networking or IT related projects. So it's not limited to any particular one type. Now, what I'll do today, we'll do a small commercial sample, but of course, like I said, it's going to also be used just as equally for residential. So we'll come in here, and what I'll do is we'll maybe add a few floors here. Now, for some projects, you may want to add building names. You can certainly do that. I'm just going to keep it simple here today. We'll go and add some rooms. So once again, I've got a list of options here. You can customize this list to your preference here. So we'll do maybe a closet. And of course, you can take any of these rooms out that you don't typically use. And we'll say, all right, we've got a hallway, maybe we've got a entryway, and maybe a few offices here. So we drop those in. Now you can move these around as well too, from floor to floor, building to building. You can also rename them if you want to personalize the room name. And you can even take it a step further and go in and actually add other details like racks if you want to. Okay. So those are now plugged in. And if you want to take it a step further on your scope of work, you can even do a little brief description or scope of work per room as well too here in the boxes for each location. Then after that, we give you the ability to add systems. So we can say, all right, we're selling an audio system, control system, lighting, phone, security. We'll just plug a few options in there. So this is handy when you want to take a quick look at the numbers for the project. So if the customer says, hey, how much is the teleconference system costing us, or how much are we spending on lighting? With a few clicks, you could find out that information without having to go through and manually add it up. So there's your systems there. We also have a place for your payment schedule, so we'll break out your payment schedule on a contract for you. You can set up your default payment schedule in here, and you can always change this per project. You can use fixed amounts or percentages for calculating this if you'd like. And very last step is custom fields. So this is pretty much to cover any additional information that you may want to track or report on. So you can go into the settings here. You can add as many custom fields here, up to 14. You can rename those. And some good examples: driving directions, gate code, customer's budget. So you can plug that stuff in there if you want to. So we're going to hit save on this. So now what we're going to do is let's show you how we start putting some equipment into this project that we've set up. Now with D-Tools, there's really two ways of building a project. You can start with your quote or your bill of materials first. Of course, gets you all your pricing and reports. And then later we can drag and drop those items onto a drawing page in Visio or AutoCAD if we choose to. Now, one unique thing about our system is we could actually do it in the reverse order. So if you wanted to start with a drawing, I could open it up in Visio or CAD, and I could do a floor plan. I could start building a rack, start doing a wiring diagram. And as I do my drawing, it actually builds up my quote or estimate for me as I do my layout. So it does give you some nice, powerful tools there for visually building the proposal or the quote. But you certainly don't have to start that way. So it's really up to you and your personal preference. For today, what I'll do is give you a quick example of each. We'll just add a few parts here on the quoting or estimating side. We'll take it to the drawing side. We'll add a few more parts over there just so you kind of get an idea how it works in either scenario. Now, with our project editor here, this is where you're going to see all the equipment show up for this particular project. We've got a button over here that says Product Explorer. So this is all of the equipment we've downloaded from the catalog, as well as you've got your packages here as well too. There's all the rooms we set up as well as the system. So now we're ready to start finding some parts and putting it into locations here on this job. So I like to use a search. It's actually a very quick, easy way of finding stuff. You can type in whatever you want and it searches across all the fields in the database. So I could say, all right, show me that swamp amplifier we saw earlier. Finds the match. I can say, all right, let's put that in rack 1 as a part of my audio system. Drag it right in. I get prompted for my additional items that I may want to include, so the vent panel and some additional programming, so we'll go put that in there. And there it is. So we can now see all 3 items is under rack 1. Now we'll move on to our next item. Now, if you don't have all the part numbers memorized, which I know we all don't have that memorized as much as we like to think we do, so what we'll do is we'll come in here and say, all right, let's do a quick search here for a speaker. And let's say, all right, maybe we want to use JBL, or you can type in ceiling, wall mount, whatever keywords you want. Once again, narrows down the results here for you. We'll say we want that part, and let's put that speaker in the conference room, the hallway, office 1 and 2. So just drag it in. That then prompts you for any additional accessories, which I've got a cable on there, so that's a good use of an accessory. You can put wire and cable on products if you want to, and that'll drop or run a cable in there for you. And when cable's being added, if it's a cable that's cut to length, we do give you the ability to adjust the wire length at this stage. You can also do this later as well on the drawing side. And we'll also say, okay, it's all coming from rack 1. So this will help with tagging our cables for our wire checklist and also our labels as well. So just like that, across 4 rooms, we've added a speaker for each location, a back can, and a runner cable for all. So you kind of get the idea here of how this is working. We're basically just finding the parts, putting it into locations, starts to build up our pricing here in this grid. Now the grid here can be customized. Everyone's a little different on what they like to see and what they like to work with when they're building a quote. So we do give you the ability to kind of move things around here, or you can also come up here to our layouts tab and choose from some of the pre-built layouts that we've done for you. Now, if you don't like any of those, you can certainly go in and create your own custom layout and pick the specific columns in order that you want to see them in every time you start a project. Now, with the price layout here, what we're going to do is we're going to see things like our cost and our sell price, margin, and markup are here as well. And so what I'm going to do is say, all right, if I want to change this price, we'll change this here to $6,000. You'll see how that impacts your margin or markup there. I can also change it based off the margin or markup, and that will in turn change our sell price. Now, obviously, sometimes with projects, you may be doing some discounts or pricing adjustments for that particular customer. If you do make any pricing adjustments here in this project, it only affects this job. So don't worry about it messing up your default pricing in the database for everyone else. Any adjustments are project specific here. I could even highlight the whole job to say, all right, set everything at a flat 20, 25% margin. So lots of ways of setting up and playing with the pricing here inside the project. Now, once you're happy with the equipment and the pricing that's in here, now we're ready to start running some reports. I'll show you how easy that is to do. You just go up here to the Reports tab, and you're going to see we've got three main categories of reports. We got Client, Install, and Management reports. So client reports are basically any type of reports you would give to the customer. That could be things like contracts, scope of work documents. Some of our stock proposal templates are in here as well too. So if I do maybe proposal with images by location, so we'll do it room by room. If I want to, I can even take it a step further, maybe add some graphics in there. So we've got different graphic templates here. There's even more that you can download from our website. So you can certainly choose the one that you like and run it here for that particular project. So we'll run this here, and this will show us the equipment room by room. So we have our cover page here. Now we can change the cover page image specific to that customer's project if we want to. Shows us a room by room breakdown of what's inside the project, and lots of detail can be customized. Once again, the graphics can be shown or not shown if you want to. We can show the pictures of the items. Even the accessories here, these add-on items, those can be hidden if you want to shorten this thing up a little bit as well. We also like to hide other sensitive information, like maybe you want to hide the model number or the line item pricing for the item to avoid giving the customer a shopping list. So we can, just show a summary by room or by system if you want to throughout the proposal. In the very bottom here shows equipment, labor, VAT, and grand total. So as you can see here, this report was actually, I modified this earlier for someone that was in the UK, so I can change that back very easily. Show you how easy that is. I can go to my report settings and I can say, all right, let's go back with the standard sales tax description, and we'll go with the standard LEBOR description as well. And very easy to make changes to, like if I want to see that same project by system, doesn't mean I have to sit there and copy and paste and reorganize my project every time I need to do that. I can just, with a few clicks, now see it organized by audio system. And there's my summary. And then this particular one, I even have it set to show the detailed breakdown of labor. I know most people probably won't do that, but you have the ability to do that there if you want to. So, and that's just a quick little run through of how you build a quick quote here. All these can go straight to PDF, Word, Excel, and even emailed out via Outlook from here as well. Now, if you want to take this and make it a little more personalized to your company, we do have a built-in report designer, so you can actually take any of our templates, you can move things around, add your own graphics, and really customize it. There's really no limitations there for that. Now, you may also want to build what we call a proposal package or report group. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. This can basically consist of multiple documents. So I can say, all right, put together my cover page, my introduction letter, my scope of work, my equipment list, and my contract all as one document. So there's a little introduction there, scope of work for the project, breakdown of the equipment with the summary, and then rolls it into a contract with our terms and conditions, our payment schedule, and our customer's information there. So as you can see, the page numbers are all correct. So it took several independent reports we have in the system and brings them all together as one big package. So you can do things like that in there as well. From an installation standpoint, now we've got some installation documents we could run already just from what we've done here in the last few minutes. I could generate wire labels, and I can even generate some basic wire checklists in here too. We also have the ability to run various management reports. So if you want to see your cost and profit broken down into detail, you can choose how you want it to see it displayed. We can also generate equipment lists, hours reports, even purchase order request forms. All that's in there, available to run as needed. If you want something a little more simplified, you could run a quick project summary here. This at a glance gives you a quick rundown of your equipment, the hours, the labor charges, and the overall pricing and margin here as well. So that's just a few of the documents. We've got a ton of reports in there, so I won't bore you with every single one that we have, but it gives you an idea of how that all gets put together quickly in this interface and how you can run documents off of that as needed. So from here, what we'll do is let's go take you over to the drawing side of the system and show you how that all works. So let's go ahead and save this here, close it out. And if you have a bad habit of not saving things, we do have an auto save feature as well too to help you out with that. So we've got our project here we just created. So we can start this project in Visio and or AutoCAD. So we do allow you to work with either drawing tool, and you don't have to choose just one or the other. You can actually use both even on the same project. So some people choose to do a rack drawing or a wiring diagram in Visio, maybe do the floor plan layout in AutoCAD. So like I said, you're not restricted to a particular type that you have to stick with. Let's go in here and do Visio. Come in here, I'm going to choose a paper or template size, so you can choose which one you like to use, and this will launch up the program. Now, with Visio and AutoCAD both, we are working natively in those software programs, so if you're already using those software programs by themselves, the good news is it is the same software you're already using. We're just going to make your life a lot easier by bringing together data and reporting to that drawing system. So I'm in Visio right now. What I'm going to do is remove the grid here and kind of show you what's going on. So there's actually a title frame that we always put on there with your logo, your company name, the client's name, and project details. So that's all automated, so you never have to worry about that. Now, we also do 4 types of drawings. So I'm going to give you a brief example of those here today. So we do what are called line, elevation, plan, and schematic drawings. So like I said, we'll kind of talk about those here and spend a couple minutes on this. Now, like I said, this is Visio. You'll see there's a DTools plugin here on the left. This shows you all of the products in your library. We also have a shape library here too you can drag from. Now, the big thing with this is if you've already built a quote, you actually can pull up that here in what we call the project editor. So this opens up as a separate window. We can dock on another screen or monitor if we want to. So for today's example, I'm just going to kind of split them here so you can see both screens at once. Now, if you build a quote, it's really easy to make a drawing from that. It's literally just drag and drop. So I come over here, I say I want that amp, I click, I drag it over, and I let go. That brings out the image here. So I've just basically cut out several different steps. If you're using Visio right now to do that same process, you'd be going up to Insert, Picture, go browse the picture, you'd probably go download the picture, save it, insert it in, come in, create a text box, type in all that information, and hit save. So that whole process would normally probably take someone on average 2 to 3 minutes per item to do. I just did it there in a second, literally. So that's all it is, and you literally just drag and drop your parts out. As you can see, very easy to do. I grab my cable, drag and drop it out. So you don't have to be a design expert or have years of experience. All you got to do is know what part you want and where you want it to go. So, and there is our line diagram. So very simple, high-level drawing. This is great to give a customer a quick visual of a system without getting into a lot of detail on your end and spending a lot of time. So there's your line layout. Now, as you're building a drawing in our system, we also help you out by putting a little Visio symbol next to the product. This is also true in AutoCAD as well. So that way you keep track of what's on the drawing page and what's not. So that's one type. Now what we'll do is we'll move on to our elevation view. This is where you do a front or side view of a system, typically a rack drawing, or maybe you want to show maybe a TV or something on a wall. This is a great layout to use that for. So now we didn't put a rack in our quote earlier, so let me show you how easily I can add this to the drawing and to our quote or bill of materials at the same time. Literally, it's pretty much the same process. Just click on where you want the equipment to go. Come over here to your product database. Do a quick search for the part that you want to add. Once you find the item, you simply click and drag it into the drawing. And now I've added a rack to the rack 1 and 2 location, not only on the drawing page, but also now in our project. So pricing, labor, tax have all been added in. So now I'll just come over here. I'm going to grab my amplifier, drag it out, place this where I want it to go in the rack, and I'll come over here and also grab my vent panel as well. And we can just snap this in too. So this is truly to scale, so you can make sure everything fits properly on the page, even down to the details of things like equipment feet. If you want to show it as rack mounted, you can right click and remove that as well too. So there's your rack layout. Once again, nice scale drawing that you can use. And if you don't like the graphics, we also have some wireframe shapes you can use as well too, with just an outline and the product name on it as well. So there's your rack layout. We also do plan views as well, so you can insert floor plans in. Now with the Visio interface, a lot of people don't realize you can also drop in AutoCAD files into this interface without having AutoCAD. You can also work with PDFs and scanned images as well. So quick example here, let's go to Insert, CAD Drawing. We go find a CAD file here, and we'll go drop something in. So there's my floor plan. Now we're working on a commercial project in this example, so I'm going to go into my layer properties. I'm going to remove these room names here. It's actually grabbed a residential plan, so no big deal. For our example here, we'll just go ahead and remove a few details and clears up the plan for us. So what I'll do is I'll go into a room here. So let's take this room, for instance. I'll say that this is maybe our office 1. So I'm going to click on my speaker, my cable, drag and drop it out. So there's our items here on the page. Make this full screen so you can see it. So basically just take the cable, snap it to the speaker. I can now move the speaker to where I want it to go. And this has saved literally minutes of labor just by dragging and dropping this out. You can see the wire numbers there, the model number, the type of cable, even tells me on the other end it's going back to rack 1. So if I'm using this as a tool for my installation team, they know everything they need to know about this product. They've got the speaker with the ID on it. The ID does match up with their pick list or equipment list. They know what wire to use, and they know what wire label needs to go on it, and we know exactly where it's supposed to be running to on the opposite end. So there's your cable, and you can always run the cable to the other location as well too if you want. So that's all there, and we do have a lot of the industry standard shapes in there. We have the J standard stencil set approved by Infocom and CDO. We also have NFPA approved fire stencil sets as well as SIA approved security stencil sets in there as well too for floor plans, along with the symbol legends for those too. So this will make doing drawings a lot faster and easier, and you know you'll be using the latest standards as well too with that. So there's your floor plan layout. And then lastly is the schematic view. So this is definitely the more detailed of the drawings. This gets into how your system's wired up. So if we click on, let's say, a speaker and a cable and amp, we'll drag it out. And let's show you how this all works. So from a schematic standpoint, you're going to have your device information and your cable. You just simply snap it up to an output here and snap it up to your speaker here on the input side. Everything's clearly marked. On every device, you'll see the floor and room that it's a part of. We can see what it's connected to on this end. We can even color code the wires for you. So something that seems like a minor detail, if you're having to do that manually, that can easily save you, it could save you an hour or more on a project of having to go through and manually click on items and color code them. Another little trick we built into the Visio interface, we can actually hide the IOs that we're not using. So I can just right click and drop any of these IOs we're not needing. So the advantage of doing that, it does clean it up, and it also saves you a lot of space on the drawing page to fit more products. So another little trick there. So that's your line diagram. So all this stuff that we're working with here is all linked back to the database. So if I go and change any of these products on my drawing, it updates my quote as well as all of my documents and labels automatically. So think about if you're having to do that now, most people, or they're doing drawings and reports, are having to change it 3, 4, 5 times. May not even realize how much you're having to go through and duplicate work. So we basically literally, you change it one place and you're done. You can always click on the item as well too, and this always takes you back to the database. So once again, as I mentioned earlier, fully integrated with our system. So now from drawings like this wiring diagram, there's also some really good reports that you get from that. So not only do I have this drawing to hand off, I also have a wire schedule or wire checklist I can generate from that layout. So we'll come in here and we'll see that just from making that connection, I can see audio 1 goes from the amp, there's the output, there's the 2 device, and the input. So this once again helps with the installation efficiency, and no one has the excuse, I didn't know how it's supposed to be connected. So we've got 2 methods of documenting how the wires are snapped together, the graphic or the drawing as well as the report. So that's just a quick little run through of our Visio interface. We do the same type of drawings in AutoCAD as well, all drag and drop, and you can do floor plan, rack, and wiring diagrams in there. So that's always an option too. Just requires full AutoCAD to do that. So from here, what we'll do is we'll move on. Let's take you to the next step of the process, and let's show you how we schedule out the installation. Let's save our drawing here. So the whole idea with these drawings, by the way, too, like I said, it's great for, can be good use for customer presentations. It can also, just as importantly, be good for our own internal documentation, especially for things like service as well, too, later on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come in here and let's start building up our project, our install, I should say. We've already built our project up, so here it is. So what I'm going to do is go down here to task at the bottom. So this is where I can go in there and schedule out my task for installation. Come in here, and we'll go ahead and say, all right, I'm going to send somebody out to install the trim phase of this job. I'll come in here, pick my items that I want to be installed. Let's go ahead and check that in here. Shows me all the parts in your project. Now, you know, in a real project, you probably have hundreds or thousands of products in here. So the filter comes in very handy for that. I can narrow down my equipment list by room. You can see it changes it there in the background. I can do it by system, by manufacturer, by type of equipment, or by the phase. So I could say, all right, show me my trim phase equipment. We'll select all those items and we'll add it in. So that's now in the task. I can also go to my resources tab and I can now choose who I want to do that installation. So I can come in here and say, all right, let's do Jeff here. Hit assign, and I'm going to apply those hours to Jeff here. Now you can do more than one person, so it doesn't have to be just one person here. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go take this over and publish this out to Mobile Install. Now we can also push this out to Outlook, Google Calendar, and Outlook.com as well. But Mobile Install is a fairly new tool that we've added to make things a lot easier for you and your technicians. Now, it's warning me of a conflict, so the good news is it does let you know if you're making a mistake. So I'm going to ignore that, though. Go ahead and save that here. Now, we also give you the ability to attach any other documents you want to send out to this. Now, this is all going to be published up to the web through our cloud interface, as well as you can also throw in other things like drawings as well to this. Hit publish. And this will now push it up to our Mobile Install tool. There we go. Perfect. So the technician would actually can get an email which would have a link to this task as well as a link to get driving directions or even add it to their local calendar on their phone or tablet. What I'll do here is just go open up a web browser. I'm going to go to our website, mobile.d-tools.com. So as a technician, I would go in and log in here with my credentials. And if you got multiple accounts, usually you won't have multiple accounts. I just have a few, so I'm going to choose the one here. So as a user, I would log in and I get to see my personal dashboard of what I've got going on. So you can see I've been kind of slacking here. I've got a lot of stuff overdue. But you can see task and service orders here in this view. Now, this is browser-based, so one of the concerns people have is, if I'm out in their field, am I going to have to sit there and scroll left or right trying to find stuff? The answer is no. It is a responsive website, so we designed it to look and feel like an app. So to show you that, if I go and trim this down, this is what it may look like on a typical smartphone. So you see the user interface is very easy to use. I can just click on it with my finger and navigate through it. Or if I'm using a tablet on site, as you can see, the buttons and layout changes to be optimized for that. So, like I said, you'll see a different view depending on the size of screen that you're working with. Now, I can also go to my calendar. Now, this is a web-based calendar, so this is something published from our system. The calendar can also be viewed and updated directly from the software itself. So if you're using something like Google Calendars right now because it's web-based, we have something for you that's all integrated into our solution. So you don't have to use Google Calendars if you don't want to anymore. You can use our built-in calendaring system. We do color code everything for you as well, so at a quick glance I can see, okay, what's not started, what's in progress, what's completed, and what's overdue. So we do flag everything there for you, and I can also click into a task as well to see the job. Now there's also a task view here as well, which will show me everything that's in my queue for tasks, as well as we have this for service orders. I'm going to go into the one we just created here. And this shows me at a quick glance, I can see my overall information for the project. I can actually enter my hours here manually, or I can use a timer. So this will actually start a little timer that once I'm done, I click stop, and this will apply the time to the job. I can also, if I need to find, from having trouble finding the location, I can click on map, for instance. This will bring it up here. I can locate it here on a map. We also have got our items view here, which allows me to see all the equipment that needs to be installed. So I can actually organize this by room if I wanted to, or I can go back and once I'm done, I can actually highlight and mark those things installed. So it puts a date stamp on them. You can also even put in serial numbers and job site notes here from your mobile device. This all syncs back up to the software. Site notes can also be logged in here too. So if this is a job going on over a period of time, maybe a few weeks or a few months, you can put in your notes here. So if you've got several different people going and coming from site, they can always go in and check into the notes area and see, any notes somebody may have posted about the job or the status in here. We can see what other installers are involved with this project here. We could even upload job site photos. So if you have a practice or have been meaning to do this where we go out, we take some pictures before the install, we take some pictures after the install, which could be good for covering yourself. So you can do that with your phone or tablet, store that with the task. You can always go back to it and reference it later if you want to. Additional documents can be viewed and shared here via the web, including drawings, as well as we have an analysis tab here to kind of see our actual versus estimated. Now, we also do service tickets as well too. So you can create service tickets in the software. If they don't have to be a customer, you don't even have to have a project. A customer can just say, hey, I need something fixed or repaired, and you can send somebody out on site. So if I go into a service order here, you'll see the layout is pretty much the same as a task. There's a few additional items that we've added in here based off requests. Oftentimes we hear, you may have never had this happen to you, but you send somebody out on site and the customer says, oh, by the way, while you're here, can you take a look at this? This isn't working right, or, can you check out this? So what often happens for most of us is we send somebody out, they end up spending twice as long as they should have. They come back, and we don't really have any type of paper trail or have anything documented on what additional work was done, or even that the customer agreed to any additional work or pricing. So obviously a lot of margin and labor is wasted in that scenario. So what we've done to help with that is we do allow you to add additional items here on site. Now you can either allow your mobile user to do this, or you can come into the software, they can make a phone call back and somebody can go in and add the stuff from the software and republish it. So it's up to you. But you can go in here and add side items. So I can say, we went in there and we've, fixed speaker in Office 1. And just hit save, so that adds it in here. So you can review with the customer the additional work that was done. There's an approve button here as well too. This one's already been approved, but let's just say, come in here, sign off on that. So not only do we have pricing that we can review with the customer, we can also get a signature, so that way we have proof or acknowledgement that they agree to the additional work and the pricing for that. So that does get stored with your service tickets, and that's available to be viewed as well too later on. So this is just our new tool called Mobile Install. So this just allows your technicians to communicate with you back in the office without having to deal with paper or notes or the back and forth phone calls. So nice little interface there to bring the two together. Now back in the office, the person scheduling out these installs, by the way, they have their own scheduling area, so you can go in there and see all of the tasks and service orders that have been created. And we do allow you to see those, what's been scheduled this week. I could see it by customer if I want to, or by project, so you can kind of play with that there. We also have a view where you can see your calendar, so you can see everything that's been scheduled here for the day, the week, or the month. And you can also choose particular resources if you want to, or you can see everybody's calendar on one calendar. So that's an option there. And we also have in the scheduling area a place to track your hours, so very important to be able to see what's going on at any given time. So I can come in here and say, okay, show me what's going on this week for Jeff. So I've got Jeff here, let's just choose him. So I can see, okay, Jeff, for this week, he's actually spent a little over 4 hours. We've got him 11 hours estimated. So obviously it's not done yet, but we can see the 3 jobs he's been working on this week and the status of each of those. So it gives you a nice little dashboard or area of seeing all of the current work and what stage it's in. And once again, you can create custom date fields or expand that to the whole month if you want to. This also shows you not only tasks, but also service orders as well, so you can see both. So that's just a little bit on our scheduling side. So we've spent the, that's one of the big things we've been changing here lately is adding a lot of new scheduling and project management features to help managing and updating things from the field a lot easier. So that's really the last thing we're going to show you here today with this offer of the overview. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to post those on the chat window on the right-hand side. There's a few things we didn't touch on today, which I'll be happy to show if anyone's interested in checking it out. Some of those things is the QuickBooks interface for the accounting side. We'd be happy to also show anyone the revisions and change orders, how those operate, as well as I can show you our AutoCAD interface as well if anyone's curious to see it. So yeah, feel free to post any questions in the chat window if you like. And otherwise, if not, really do appreciate you stopping by and spending a few minutes with us today and learning how you can help improve your process with D-Tools. If you need any questions after the fact, feel free to reach out to us at sales@d-tools.com, or you can reach us at 1-866-386-6571, just dial extension 1 for our sales department, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have about the system.